Welcome back to Cleveland, where this time of year weather could very much be a factor. 27 degrees, a wind chill at 14. But take a look at the flag. Right now around 15 miles per hour, but gusting, we're told, up to 30 to 35 miles per hour. Cleveland has won the toss, deferred to get the ball until the second half. And yet another chance to become the all-time leader in return touchdowns for Devin Hester. He is tied 19 with Deion Sanders.
Well, and special teams were huge last week in the league in terms of all the weather. Right now, the turf looks good. Shouldn't be a factor, but Devin Hester, always a factor when he can get his hands on the ball.
A huge game for the Chicago Bears. An identical record atop the NFC North with Detroit. But the Lions swept the season series against the Bears, thus own the tiebreaker. Billy Cundin deep into the end zone, and 9 yards in it. Hester out across the 25, and a good return up to the 32-yard line. Jay Cutler starts for the first time since injuring his left ankle back on November the 10th in one of those losses to Detroit. You take a look at some of the numbers, and Brian, as you pointed out, both quarterbacks with 13 touchdowns, but McCown only 1 interception.
And that's the key today. Jay Cutler cannot force the ball down the field, let the game come to him. He knows that, but he's still Jay Cutler, and he's got that eye-popping arm ability.
Forte in the backfield. He's had back-to-back 100-yard rushing games. They turn around and hand it off to him. And a good gain on first down. That'll be up to the 44-yard line. A 12-yard pickup on first down for Matt Forte. Of course, this Chicago offense has plenty of weapons for Jay Cutler.
It can begin with Matt Forte, but look at the skill positions with tight end Martellus Bennett, Alshon Jeffrey, and Brandon Marshall. The monsters of the Midway may be the best receiving tandem in the National Football League.
Well, right now, that duo is the leading duo among all teams in the National Football League in both receptions and receiving yards. Once more, they'll hand it off to Forte. Now, this Cleveland defense ranks 7th overall in the NFL, 4th against the run, 8th against the pass.
Well, on the inside of Taba Rubin and DeQuell Jackson, they've got to handle the inside running game of Matt Forte and Joe Hayden and T.J. Ward. They're going to draw the task of handling these monsters of the Midway and the tight end Martellus Bennett.
Joe Hayden considered among the very best cornerbacks in all of the NFL.
Tuesday.
On a second down and 6 from the 48. Cutler, his first throw, a safe one. Spinning out of a tackle is Forte, then swarmed by the Browns defensively. That'll be a gain of 2, and it brings up the first. Big third down for Chicago.
Well, this is just a simple flare pass. He looked down the field. He wanted to find his big receivers. Not there. Immediately comes off to Forte. This is uncharacteristic of the Cleveland Browns. Screen trying to bring him down with just that shoulder bump. That's not going to happen with Matt Forte. This Brown team's been very good with open field tackles. They're going to have to do better than that.
They've got a favorable spot to the 48-yard line, so it's third down and 2. And Forte alone back behind Cutler, who's out of the shotgun. Well thrown. Penalty flag. This may be delay of game.
Delay of game. Offense. Number 6. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
The Cleveland Browns do a lot with their defensive front. And obviously there's a lot of line calls to be made, but right now that's a tough one. This is not real loud stadium right now. It's a little bit muffled because everybody's dressed so warm. But boy, that hurts an offense now when without the noise being a factor, you get a delay game penalty.
So third down and 2 becomes third down and 7. Cutler drops it off across the middle, and the catch is made by Martellus Bennett, the big tight end. A first down to the Browns' 30-yard line.
Jay Cutler, let's remember now, Jay Cutler's been out of the offense for about a month. They have gotten steadily better. We had them early on, Tom. You saw the talent when you've got Bennett at tight end, Jeffrey and Marshall outside with Forte out of the backfield, an offensive line that's got two rookies that are no longer rookies. This offense is playing very, very well, and Jay Cutler comes back into a very talented group that's playing very, very well.
Throw it on first down across the middle, and the catch is made by Brandon Marshall. And that is the first down to the Cleveland 13-yard line. Right on the button, those last through throws for Cutler.
They're just bunched up right there, and now they split. Martellus Bennett down the seam. That opens up the inside route for Brandon Marshall. Jay Cutler looks awful comfortable right now. Sat very comfortably in the pocket. Didn't have to move around much. If they don't get more pressure on Jay Cutler, he's going to cut him up.
Well, that has been a big story with this Cleveland defense. They went from the 4-3 to the 3-4. As you see the very impressive numbers once again this year for Brandon Marshall. But up until last week against New England, not getting a lot of sacks out of the guys at 3-4 is designed to get sacks from. And a dangerous throw, and it's intercepted in the end zone to Sean Gibson. Out across the 20, and still on his feet to the 27. The turnover by Cutler in the end zone. It was tipped by T.J. Ward and returned 35 yards. Throwing into traffic. A big turnover on the first drive for Chicago.
It is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Cleveland defensively has been so good in so many areas except down in the red zone. And that is their first red zone takeaway in nearly 2 months. Now the Browns offensively, they're without their regular starting running back Willis McGahee today. Campbell a pump fake on first down. And incomplete under heavy pressure. Took a big hit from Jeremiah Ratliff on first down.
Well, let's go back and look at what happened here. And I know there's a whole bunch of folks in Chicago throwing stuff at their TV. This is not a bad throw. You got the matchup you want with T.J. Ward. Need to lead a little bit. The ball did get deflected. But when you have these big receivers, you're going to put it up on the rim. You're going to rely on them to bring it down. Unfortunate set of circumstances for Jay Cutler, but this is exactly what we talked about, that you can't have the turnovers.
And it off on first down, and that's close to a first down for Edwin Baker. First time he has touched the ball in the NFL. Just signed off the Houston Texans practice squad earlier this week. Originally, Baker was a 7th-round draft choice back when Norv Turner was the head coach in San Diego.
Yeah, Joe Thomas, Alex Mack set the pace for the offensive line. And talk about big receivers. They got a couple here in Cleveland with Josh Gordon and Jordan Cameron.
Cameron and Josh Gordon both eclipsing 100 receiving yards in that devastating loss last week. Controversial loss last weekend in New England. Play clock down to 1, and they just do get it off. Quick throw into the hands of Little, and he's across midfield. Inside the 40, down to the 20, and tackled at the 18-yard line is Greg Little.
Down here at the bottom of the screen, we see it every week. These one-step quick screens, and then it's an absolute jailbreak with the offensive line of the Cleveland Browns out in front. Look at those big guys down in front of Little. Huge game with just a simple one-step screen to Little on the outside. Those are the kind of passes the quarterbacks love to have. Low risk, high reward.
Leading receivers in each of the last 2 years, but now Gordon, of course, along with Cameron, a big part of the offense. Cutting it back to the inside is Baker. Spun down maybe after a 1-yard gain. This has been a porous Chicago defense, especially against the run. They rank dead last in the NFL.
Well, they've inserted Jeremiah Ratliff into the front along with Stephen Paya to see if they can stop that. And Major Wright and Chris Conte, the safeties, are going to have to be a big part of building the box we keep talking about to stop the run.
Second down and 9. Fozzie Whitaker has checked into the backfield for the Browns. And he'll get the ball. Looking for room. Not much there. Of course, it's been a trying year for the defensive coordinator of the Bears in his first season. Mel Tucker, born and raised right here in Cleveland, Ohio. Went to Cleveland Heights High School. His mom and dad are at the game today. His brother, they all live here in town. But look at all the injuries for this defense. Some big-time names on that list.
And this was a 10-6 football team that its strength was defense. It's a lot for Mel Tucker to come in. You can't look at those names and just say, well, they still ought to be good defensively. That's a lot of talent not on the field.
Third down and 8. They need to get just inside the 10 to convert. Blitz coming. They pick it up. Campbell delivered it right on the button, and the ball was dropped by Devon Best. That looked like a catch it should have been made for Best. That's his 9th drop of the year.
Well, they just kind of swabbed it up. You're going to see Best right here. Starts out, nods it, and then breaks to the inside. Once it's cleaned out on the inside, got to hold on to it. Nice, safe, low ball. Couldn't have kept it up any higher, or there was a chance Conti would have stepped underneath it. Good throw by Jason Campbell.
So now a 35-yard field goal try. With 7:30 to play here in the opening quarter from Billy Cutler. 18 out of 23 on the season. Christian Young snaps it. Spencer Lanning holds it, and right down the middle of Condit. So they take advantage of the interception in the end zone, and leads to a 3-0 Cleveland lead here in the opening quarter.
This game is sponsored by Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
3-0 early on. Cleveland taking advantage of the interception, and Cutler trying to stay warm. It is a frigid Sunday afternoon. Snowed most of Friday night, all day yesterday, nearly the entire night, and snowing even early this morning.
They've done a nice job with the field, though. It's pretty firm, and we don't get much precipitation the rest of the way. They should hold up well.
And my, oh my, the difference between being right here, literally on the lakefront of Lake Erie, as opposed to maybe 10, 12 blocks back in downtown. Staggering the difference with that wind and wind chill, and there you go. Ball blows right off the tee.
And having come here for years when I was with the Ravens, the wind here, as you can imagine, coming off Lake Erie, it is a factor, you know, in terms of the way, and it's just, it changes constantly. If we're just consistent one way or the other, okay, you deal with it, but it's constantly changing, swirling.
I've always wondered, Brian, does it make a difference if it's blowing? And obviously with the height of the seats on each side. As that ball is launched by Cutler out of the end zone. I want to ask you about, though, when it's blowing in a quarterback's face. Forte and the Bears back on offense, trailing 3-0.
Game is sponsored by Ford. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more.
Bears get the football for the second time. Boy, how impressive were they on Monday night offensively against the Dallas Cowboys, a game where the Bears did not punt. 45 points, nearly 500 yards of offense. Josh McCown accounting for 5 touchdowns. Forte dropped behind the line of scrimmage by the Browns' leading tackler, DeQuell Jackson.
Well, Tom, only one show makes dreams come true and discovers superstars. American Idol returns this January with Jennifer Lopez, Keith Urban, and Henry Connick Jr. American Idol. The search for a superstar begins this January on Fox.
And you will be dialed in.
They ought to have an American Idol for promo readers. Right? Be great competition.
You would have been traveling around America
all over the world.
like this America to some extent. I mean, the ratings that would be generated. Second down and 10. Forte once more, and once more he is leveled behind the line of scrimmage. The man who made the interception to Sean Gibson coming up to take it down.
Well, Jay Cutler's been out a month, and maybe he didn't check the weather report. The man's got no socks. It's cold out here. I don't know if that's his normal routine or not, or he's just trying to show how tough he is, but I don't know how to put some socks on.
Third down and 11. protection. Cutler now has to throw. And it drops into the arms for a first down up to the 40-yard line once more by Martellus Bennett.
Now, this is a drop coverage in a tough situation for Cleveland. Poyer finally shows up, but Martellus Bennett just sat in the middle of the field. Seemed like forever. Jay Cutler did move around in the pocket pretty well. That's always the question coming off the groin and the ankle. He looked strong there in getting the ball across his body to Martellus Bennett.
Bennett, with the 2 catches already today, has tied his career high for receptions in a season at 55 as a Giant, and now 55 in his first year with Chicago. In the hands of Alshon Jeffrey, first time he's touched it today, and that did not fool Craig Robertson. Inside linebacker in his second year out of North Texas, read it beautifully for Cleveland.
Well, Ray Horton, the defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns, knows that Alshon Jeffrey on the reverse has been very productive for the Chicago Bears, particularly when you hit away with Matt Forte a couple times. They look for that reverse. They played it very well there.
Well, Jeffrey with over 100 rushing yards this season on just 15 carries. Second down at 13. Cutler threads a needle up to the 47-yard line, and once more that's Brandon Marshall. And certainly back when Cutler was healthy, going back even before he had the ankle injury, when he had the groin injury, you may remember, against Washington, Marshall is his main guy. You almost got the feeling that Jeffrey had become the favorite target for Josh McCown.
And I think the more Jay Cutler is around Alshon Jeffrey and Martellus Bennett, that he'll continue to go to those guys and learn and get that nuance that he already has with Brandon Marshall, given the time they had together going all the way back to Denver.
Third down, good protection again, and there's Jeffrey, and that converts on third down to the 45.
Well, these are the kind of throws that we're used to seeing with Jay Cutler, and why you know the Chicago Bears have such faith in him, because this thing, when it needs to come out, very few players can put this much speed and accuracy on the ball as can Jay Cutler. And I'll tell you what, talked about Ray Horton having this team ready for reverses and the like. He's got to start doing something besides a 4-man rush to get some pressure on Cutler, because right now there has been none.
Forte looking for running room. Jackson there to wrap him up, but not before Forte picks up nearly 5 on first down. Cutler in 64 games with Chicago since coming over in the trade from Denver is in the franchise's top 2 in almost every major passing category. First in completions, attempts, passing yards per game, second only to Sid Luckman in total passing yards and passing touchdowns. 8th play of this drive, second drive of the afternoon for Chicago. And no running room there for Michael Bush. Billy Quinn, who's filling in for the injured, or the ailing Desmond Bryant. Bryant 2 weeks ago, they noted an irregular heartbeat, and he will be lost for the season. That's a big hit for the Browns defense.
But this Browns defense is the strength of this team right now, particularly against the run. They're 4th in the NFL against the run, and right now Matt Forte, he's hit a couple, but it's tough going for the running game of the Chicago Bears right now.
Well, third down, Forte is not in the game. They have Michael Bush in the backfield, showing blitz, and here it comes. Cutler steps up, throws across the middle, and the catch is made by Brandon Marshall, and another first down to the 25-yard line. It's another area we've talked in the past. Cutler may not be the fastest guy around, but pretty nifty with the footwork.
And they keep dropping coverage. You're going to see this bunched up group over here. They bring outside nickel pressure. They don't get home, and they drop coverage down the field. That allows them another big third down conversion. Cutler moving in the pocket, stepping it away from pressure. That's twice on 3rd and long. They've dropped coverage to allow a conversion.
Third down, there is very little doubt who Chicago's main man is, and that's the man who just caught it, Brandon Marshall. Forte spun down after a gain of 8. Marshall on 3rd downs this season, 22 receptions, and 19 of those moving the chains.
Well, the Bears are 4 for 4 today, and they've had 2 nice drives down the field. Obviously, the first one ending in the interception. But right now, Cleveland has not been able to stop Chicago, and it's primarily because of the conversions on 3rd down.
11th play of this drive, 2nd down and 2 at the Cleveland 17. Bush for a 1st down to the 10. I'm not quite sure there's any other defense in the league that has some of the disparity that you see in this Cleveland defense. 7th overall, 4th against a run, 8th against a pass. But on 3rd down, in the bottom 6 in the league, in the red zone, 2nd to last in the league. Go figure. That'll be the end of the opening quarter. Jay Cutler back in the starting lineup. Threw the pass in the end zone that was intercepted. Browns turned it into a field goal. Cutler has him knocking on the door once again. Well, as the players change ends of the field, so too this group right here. They've been hanging around all day.
Those are well-trained pitchers. Teams move, they move.
3-0 Cleveland. Bears have the ball with the Browns 11-yard line on 1st down. Forte for 2.
Well, obviously the key here, you look at lots of offensive productivity for the Chicago Bears, but the 1 turnover, that's been the big difference. We talked about coming in. That's the one thing that Jay Cutler needs to stay away from. If they don't turn the ball over, that's been their MO for success under Josh McCown, is not turning the ball over.
13th play of this drive. They began from their own 20. They pitch it to Forte, looking to cut it back. And this swarming Cleveland defense stops him right at the line of scrimmage. So it brings up a 3rd down and almost 10. DeQuell Jackson, their leading tackler, seems to always be around the football.
And what you typically see the Bears do here with this big receiving corps, go ahead and take Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall, Martellus Bennett, put them into the back of the end zone, see if you want to make one of those take this off the rim shots, and then bring an Earl Bennett or someone else underneath, read touchdown to check down.
Need to get to the 1-yard line to convert here on 3rd down from the 10. Jeffrey chopped down at the 5. And Mark Trestman sends out the field goal unit led by Robbie Gould. So 2 very good drives. First one ending in the interception in the back of the end zone. And now on 3rd down and almost 10. 4th and 4 to try and tie the game.
Both teams executing very well offensively. We've only had the 1 penalty so far in that first quarter. Very smooth running game for both teams.
23-yard try for the reliable Gould, among the game's very best, and that one is good. Just underway here in the 2nd quarter. A 3-3 game.
Is sponsored by the all-new 2014 Chevy Silverado, strong for all the roads ahead.
Well, welcome back to Cleveland, Ohio. Pardon me there for a second, dropping my glove. You got to have those on here today.
You better.
Now, here we are around the Christmas season, the holiday season. And, Brian, you remember that movie, A Christmas Story?
Classic. And I had no idea that it was filmed here in Cleveland until we got here. We had a great time going over, seeing Ralphie's, the Red Ryder BB gun, and obviously that ugly leg lamp. I tell you, great fun visiting over there here in Cleveland.
We're going to take a look at some of those pictures from Brian Billick's appearance over there. So many people were very excited.
Well, we talk about on Fox Sports 1, the one. Well, this was the one the other day, highlighting the Christmas Story.
Welcome back to frigid Cleveland, Ohio. A lot of the fans, after all the snow they had here over the last 24, 48 hours, deciding they might want to watch this one on the tube. Of course, they sell out every single game right here in Cleveland. Great fans for so many years. Jason Campbell, the Cleveland offense from the 20. Play fake. And out of the backfield, it's Obanaya, who is a very good receiver coming out of the backfield. That is his 42nd catch of the year, third most on the Cleveland team.
We talked about Cleveland not being a really good rushing team right now, and understandably they've gone through a number of different backs. Willis McGahee not even up today. You could tell in visiting with the coaches, less the quarterback position that's had its own rotation. It's the lack of the consistent running game and consistent running back that had them bothered more than the quarterback position.
Handed off to Obanaya this time, and the rookie Jonathan Bostic, the rookie filling in for the injured DJ Williams there on the tackle. Mark Trestman, 54 years young, out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, in his first year after spending the last 5 years north of the border in the Canadian Football League, winning 2 Grey Cup titles with Montreal. And Rob Chudzinski, born and raised in Toledo, Ohio, grew up a Browns fan. Left the Colt to play collegiately at the University of Miami. Third down and 7. And incomplete. Josh Gordon was looking for a flag on Isaiah Fry, and it is a flag that is thrown.
But I think he got him coming out of the break. We're going to hear the call first.
From Jeff Triplett.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 31. The 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
He was in pretty good shape down the field here. You can see this matchup right here till Jason Campbell had to break contain, and just now as Jordan Cameron starts to come away, just gets that little bit of pull. Don't know that he needed it because I don't think it was going to be complete.
Jonathan Bostic putting heavy pressure on Campbell. Sacks has not been a big part of the Chicago defense this year. All their injuries, of course, they had Henry Melton go down very early. Playmakers, Briggs, Tillman, slipping through some blockers. Up to the 34 is Edwin Baker. And let's check in for the first time today with Joel Klatt back in Los Angeles.
Tom, let's go to Atlanta, where Kirk Cousins, of course, gets the start for RG3, and he's going to cut that Falcons lead in half. Finds Fred Davis, 23-yard touchdown. Cousins' first of the season. It's 14-7 Atlanta now. Back to Cleveland. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
As we saw the Redskins earlier, Fred Davis was buried on that depth chart. A couple of times was inactive. Campbell just throws into coverage and easily intercepted by Zachary Bowman. Poor decision there by Campbell, who throws just his 4th interception of the season.
Just simply here in the slot again, breaks to the outside, ill-advised, and an out and up. I can think he figured Jordan Cameron was going to out-jump him for the ball.
Is sponsored by the new Windows, one experience for everything in your life.
3-3 game. Interception thrown by Campbell into the waiting arms of Zachary Bowman. So Jay Cutler and company get the ball from their own 40-yard line. Play action. Cutler looking down the field. Good coverage by Ward on Brandon Marshall, and Cutler took a shot from Phil Taylor.
And they put the extra lineman in for protection, but now it starts to close down around them with a play fake. This was just a 2-man route, which is great if the protection holds up. If not, then you have limited options. And of course, every time Cutler hits the ground, you get up watching. Is his ankle okay? Is his groin okay?
Of course, that was the issue for Cutler when he first came to the Bears. All the sacks he endured over his first 3 years. And now a penalty against Chicago, a false start that'll back him up.
False start. Number 83, the offense. 5-yard penalty. It's still 2nd down.
It's amazing all the areas when you have a vastly improved offensive line, despite, as you brought up earlier, a rookie at right guard and a rookie at right tackle the entire year. They've not only blocked better, but infrequently penalized. That is only their 6th false start this entire season. day to throw. That one sails on Cutler. And fortunate there wasn't a defender behind the intended target, Brandon Marshall.
And you can see with Jay Cutler gave a little bit of the chest hits. My bad.
I want to ask you. I asked you something earlier, and I never heard your answer about the wind is blowing from
Number
end zone to end
62
zone.
reports as an eligible receiver. Number 62 is eligible.
So it's either behind you, it's either in your face. Is that a big deal either way?
Well, typically your teams want to take the wind, obviously in critical situations, but as a quarterback, as a thrower, sometimes you like the wind in your face because you know what you're facing. If it's behind you, you lose control a little bit. You don't know how strong or how it's going to carry the ball. Sometimes you prefer it in your face.
Well, it's in Cutler's face here on 3rd and 15. And batted at the line of scrimmage, the Bears will punt. So unable to take advantage of the interception. 3 and out for Chicago. The first time the Browns have been able to slow down this offense.
I've been talking about not getting home with a 4-man rush, but you can see here it's beginning to get to it a little bit. The ball gets tipped subtly, but all of a sudden now this series, protection becoming a little bit more of a factor for Jay Cutler.
Like Paul Kruger got a paw on that throw from Cutler. So now Podlesh handles a low snap. And Poyer with a fair catch out to the 22-yard line. Without a catch so far, the sensational Josh Gordon. Will they get him involved when we return? Josh Gordon leading the NFL in a number of categories. Overall receiving yards. And bear in mind, that's only in 11 games. He missed 2 games suspended earlier this year. Trying to set the all-time NFL record for receiving yards per game. They have not thrown it to him one time so far today. Out of the backfield, Whitaker met by Jennings after a gain of close to 5.
And they've had opportunities to get to Josh Gordon here, whether he's targeted or not. He's had some opportunities on the outside, gets off coverage there to the outside, and then rolls to the inside here. There's some opportunities, whether indeed Jason Campbell is going someplace else, figuring that the attention's going to go to Josh Gordon, but at some point, he's got to find him down the field.
Second down and 5. And they set up the screen to Baker, who makes a catch on the floater from Campbell. And he is just short of a first down and brings up 3rd down and a long one. Coming up January 3rd, one of the great bowl games of the year on Fox. 13th ranked Oklahoma State taking on James Franklin and 8th ranked Missouri. The AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic, Friday, January the 3rd, 7:30 Eastern Time, only on Fox. 3rd down and a yard. Browns have been very good in 3rd and less than 3 the entire year, but they're going to throw it on 3rd and 1. Under pressure, just thrown away. Well, that tells you what the Browns must think of their running game against the worst running defense in the NFL. On 3rd and 1, they throw it.
Yeah, that one's got to be a little questionable. I know you want to go away from tendency, but still, you're talking about a Bears defense that has struggled mightily against the run. And to be able to just slip a little trap or draw in there.
DeMarco Murray last week on Monday night, 18 carries, ran for 146 yards. 6 consecutive games Chicago has allowed a 100-yard rusher, which ties an NFL record. Nestor waiting on the punt from Lanning, and he'll let it bounce. And that cost him a handful of yards. 50-yard punt. The Browns and the Bears. A big one here today for Cutler in Chicago. Well, we know Santa Claus and the reindeer are getting fired up for Christmas. A Christmas Story House. You were there yesterday here in Cleveland, Brian.
Oh, great fun. They had all sorts of people there. And you had, wanted to find Ralphie and that Red Ryder BB gun, the world's ugliest leg lamp right there. And even the shed on the back. Classic Christmas story this time of year. really had a great time. Everybody there was having a great time. A lot of Bears fans there yesterday.
During the holiday season, they get close to 4,000 visitors per weekend. It's the 30th year anniversary of that film. It was set in 1940s Indiana. 9-year-old Ralphie longing for that Red Ryder BB gun. I mean, it was like the senator walked in yesterday when Brian Billick showed up there. On first down, defended beautifully by the #1 pick, the rookie out of LSU, Arkevius Mingo. And this will be your Christmas card.
Oh, you better believe it now. You talk about a spiraling career. It was great fun. It was great fun. That's going to be my Christmas card, if not this year, next. We had great fun over there. We appreciate it, folks.
And that is the one.
That is the one. Absolutely.
Not might be the one.
That is the one you're going to see on Fox Sports 1, I'm sure of it.
Three and out on their last possession after two very impressive possessions in the opening quarter for Chicago. And now it's high and intercepted off the fingertip of Marshall's second interception for Gibson, who may take it to the house and does.
Well, you're going to see, again, Brandon Marshall seems to be the only guy Jay Cutler's going for right here. They kind of swab it out. He's there, but it just high and to the outside. I don't know if Jay Cutler thought he was going to go to the outside. And Jay Cutler kind of gets stepped on. That ankle's still an issue. Not real intent on wanting to keep this guy out of the end zone. Again, a missed throw being a huge difference in this game. We said come in, can Jay Cutler stay away from the turnovers? So far he has two.
And both of his interceptions leading to Cleveland points. Devin Hester jumping too early.
And Jay Cutler's a very confident quarterback, but I will tell you this, I don't care who it is, confidence in a quarterback can be veneer thin. I think it was pretty obvious he was offsides.
Offside. Number 23 of the defense, unabated. Cleveland is elected to penalize, take that 5-yard penalty on the kickoff.
But right now, Jay Cutler has to be thinking. He's a confident quarterback. This is my team. They've made it very clear cut. This is my team. The one thing I couldn't do is come in and turn the ball over, because that's not what they've done as a team the last month, and that actually has been the problem.
Now the point after by Cundiff is good. The first interception came in the end zone, ultimately leading to a field goal. This one straight cash into a touchdown, the first in the career of Deshaun Gibson. Jay Cutler and the Bears come in with an identical record of 7-6 as Detroit, but we brought up earlier that is not really a tie because Detroit swept the season series against Chicago, so they would own a tie break. 10-3 Cleveland lead. Hester coming up to get it at the 10-yard line. Running it back the other way. Still on his feet. Still on his feet and run out of bounds close to midfield. An excellent return by one of the great all-time return men. Cundiff was the guy who shoved him out of bounds.
Well, we said one thing couldn't happen with Jay Cutler is turnovers, both off of kind of tips. This one a little bit behind. Brandon Marshall gets tipped up in the air. Same one here, tipped up just enough for Gibson to get underneath it. Whatever the reason, whether it's the wind, whether it's the mechanics, not the follow through. Mark Trestman, our Laura Oakland, said he doesn't deal in hypotheticals, that what if the turnovers come? Well, it's no longer a hypothetical.
180! 180!
On first down, that's a tight end, Martellus Bennett. And a gain of close to 3, wrapped up by T.J. Ward. Of course, Cutler now in his 5th season with Chicago. This year started the first 7 games. The Bears went 4-3 in those games. He injured his groin against Washington, was inactive the following week, and the week thereafter against Green Bay. Returned against Detroit, but injured his left ankle in the 4th quarter. Has missed the last 4 games and is playing today for the first time since November the 10th. Forte on the pitch with running room. And that's a first down to the Cleveland 33-yard line for Matt Forte, off to another big start here today.
You talk about the receiving. I want you to watch the blocking of Jeffrey and Marshall on the outside. Marshall seals the end there, and right there, Alshon Jeffrey doesn't exactly blow the guy up, but he gets in position. That's the thing that jumps out at me about these 2 big receivers. Not only are they the best tandem in the league catching the ball, this may be 2 of the best blocking receivers in the game.
Brandon Marshall certainly is as good as it gets. Forte to the 30. When you look at some of the blocking put on display by Marshall, getting Chris Houston, allowing Forte some extra yards in Green Bay. Devon House. Then last week, the big hit on Sean Lee.
Look at this one. This is a knockout, very legal knockout blow. You know, there's a maturity about Brandon Marshall now that you love. When I had a Chris Carter and all that Chris was, when Randy Moss came in, he had to kind of become the big brother. You see that in Brandon Marshall now. Excellent interview with Aaron Andrews in the pregame show about how he's taken on that mantle with the young Alshon Jeffrey.
Cutler all day to throw, and once more a little bit high and unable to bring it down is Brandon Marshall. 3rd down.
There is no question Jay Cutler is not on the mark right now. The biggest thing I worry about with the quarterback when I see the ball sailing is the follow through there. Is he pushing off that angle? Does the groin injury, all but healed now, keep him from keeping those follow through mechanics? I don't care if it's tennis, I don't care if it's golf, I don't care if it's pitching. It's the follow through is where you get your accuracy, and right now don't see that in Jay Cutler.
Cutler had a great first quarter, even with the interception in the end zone, but here in the second quarter, only 2 out of 7. For 7 yards and an interception, returned for a touchdown. 3rd down, blitz coming. He gets it away. Jeffrey on the crossing pattern, trying to dive forward after taking the hit. Needed to get to the 23 for a first down. The question is, did he get there?
This is going to be close, and leads to what does Mark Trestman want to do? He's got to get something to get the juices flowing again for his offense. Does he go for it? If it's a little short, they've got to measure it. The chain box is on this side of the field, so it should be pretty easy to see whether they get it or not. This is going to be close.
Josh McCown doing a little politicking over there with a chain game.
This will be an interesting call for Mark Trestman. It's a little short.
And it is a little short. What would you do putting on your coaching hat, Brian Billick?
I gotta get something going here on the road. I'm not sure I don't stay with it. I know Robbie Gould's pretty much money from this distance, but obviously having just thrown a pick 6, I got to leave my offense on the field and give them a chance to kind of redeem themselves.
Well, Robbie Gould still standing down here, kicking into the net. And Jay Cutler wrapped up. Believe me when I tell you, maybe not as cold on here today as it was on Monday night in Chicago, but it is cold. Wind chill barely above 10 degrees, and they're going for it on 4th down.
Now, typically, you got to consider the quarterback sneak here, but on a quarterback with a gimpy ankle, a bad groin, and Matt Forte standing behind you, maybe you hand it off.
Bears are 6 of 10 on 4th downs this season. On 4th and 1, they are 4 out of 6. I'm not sure what Jeff Triplett, our referee, is talking about over on the near sideline. And we're set to go. 4th down and less than a yard for Chicago. Forte in the backfield. This is a false start for the Bears.
False start. Number 17 in the offense.
Oh, my gosh.
5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
And that changes the decision made by Mark Trestman. Was going for it on 4th down and a yard. And now will kick the field goal.
Alshon Jeffrey at the top. Got nothing to do with what this play is going to be. All of a sudden he wants to go in. Well, I don't know what the problem is with that. He's going into motion. He can stutter move like that. I'm not sure about that call. The ball wasn't snapped. You're allowed to go in motion. Clearly that's what he was doing.
46-yard field goal tried by Gold. And it is good. There's a penalty flag at the line of scrimmage.
Holding. Number 98. The offense. The 10-yard penalty. It'll still be 4th down.
That's Corey Wooten. And I think Gold is looking over there saying, all right, I'm still good from this distance.
And if anybody could, it would be Robbie Gold. He's used to these conditions being in Chicago. But right now, Mark Trestman, he's thinking better of it.
And they've decided they're not going to try the field goal from that distance.
You know, and the wind is a factor here. But you go from 4th and inches to now this. The wind blowing right in his face. Decide instead. Remember, we saw him miss that one all but an indoors with that back and forth with the Minnesota Vikings.
Because that was a big controversy on 2nd down a couple of weeks ago, sending Gold out for the 47-yard field goal try. And Podlesh will drop it inside the 5-yard line down by Sherrick McManus. So we're going to put a little asterisk by that entire sequence.
Well, right into here. This is where they're calling it. Again, goes from 4th and inches. And you're on the edge like that. You've got to spread out, but he hooks the guy coming off the edge. Looked like Barkevius Mingo coming off that edge. Got a little too much of a grip. That's tough on those edge protectors now because you got to jam the inside gap and hold on the outside.
It was 4th down and less than a foot. Mark Trestman had made the decision to go for it. Jeffrey, for a false start, backed him up 5. Gold comes out, hits a field goal, but the penalty on Wooten backs him up even further. So they punt rather than coming away at the very minimum with 3. And the Browns have the ball inside their own 5, under 5 to play here in the opening half. And Edwin Baker, playing in his first NFL game, gets a handoff and picks up 2.
You can see the penalties again. You can see at the top, and I question this a little bit. He's going in motion with just that little step. He didn't step forward. You're allowed that little step, and then on the right side again, you can see punches inside, reaches the outside. That was Barkevius Mingo on the outside, kind of tackles him as he goes down. That one was clear cut.
Second down and 8, throwing from his own end zone, and they drop it off to Obadiah. And he is just short, it looks like. Stopped by the leading tackler of the Bears, James Anderson. Needed to get up to, the 15-yard line, and he's about a foot short of that.
Norv Turner, the offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns. Few coaches are more committed to the screen game than is Norv Turner. They've already hit a couple here. Every place he's been has been productive.
Remember the last time on 3rd down and a yard, they threw the ball. Out of the I formation, they give it to the first man through. That's Obadiah. That's good enough for a first down up to the 17. Browns have all 3 timeouts remaining, along with a 2-minute warning. This drive started inside their own 5, and now they're up 12 yards better than that.
Well, Josh Campbell's had his issues with throwing the ball down the field as well. Norv Turner, the offensive coordinator, one of the best play calling coordinators and head coaches in this league for a long time, having to deal with the rotating cast at quarterback. Jason Campbell is current starter.
And Campbell steps up. Catch made by the backup tight end. That's Gary Barnidge. And he's up to the 34-yard line. That'll be another first down. Well, this is your game. This is your show. Join the guys on Fox Football Daily every weeknight for the best insights, analysis, and interviews on all of football. Fox Football Daily, weeknight 6 Eastern, only in America's news sports network, Fox Sports 1. Clock continues to run down to 2:15. First down for the Browns and all 3 timeouts in the opening half. Jason Campbell to Little. Short pickup and run out of bounds up to the 40. And that brings us to the 2-minute warning. Cleveland on the move, leading the Bears 10-3. If somebody would have told you Josh Gordon and Jordan Cameron would not have a catch, only 1 targeted time between the 2 of them, and Cleveland would lead 10-3 in the 2-minute warning, you buying that stock?
No, and I don't believe it now, and I've been watching it.
Campbell on first down. Hit as he throws. On second down, I beg your pardon, and it's incomplete. Jeremiah Ratliff putting pressure on Campbell, which forced him to get rid of that a little earlier than he wanted to. So third down to try and keep this drive alive. Of course, Jay Cutler and the Bears hoping to force him into a punt and get the ball back. Bears have all 3 timeouts remaining as well.
This is still a nice drive by Cleveland. Remember, this started inside the 5 for them. So this has been good. They've been able to move it out, whether they convert here or not.
4-man rush. Better protection. And wide open was Gordon. And the ball off target. Let's check in back in Los Angeles with Joel Klatt.
Tom, let's head back to Atlanta, where Kirk Cousins playing very well. The pump down the sidelines on the money to Pierre Garçon, a 53-yard strike, and the Falcons only have a 3-point lead. It's 17-14. Back to Cleveland, Tom, Brian, and Laura.
All right, Joel, thanks much. After picking up 35 yards to begin that drive, Cleveland forced a punt. Kester letting it bounce. And it will be down to the 25-yard line. Penalty flag is on the play. I beg your pardon, Brian. Well behind the line of scrimmage. Bears are saying this is against the kicking team.
Prior to the kick, holding number 59 of the kicking team. 10-yard penalty, re-kick.
That's Tank Carter.
And they definitely want to give Devin Hester another chance to get better yardage. So they're going to make him kick it again. This will be an interesting test for Mark Trestman with Jay Cutler, depending upon where they get the ball. Minute 40, they're going to have all 3 timeouts left. How aggressive they want to let Cutler put the ball down the field, given the way the game has started.
Cutler standing right over there next to that heater. Off the side of the foot, short punt by Carter. And it will be down at the 34, so that's an 11-yard differential. After the first punt was down at the 25.
Well, Jay Cutler, my guess is they're going to let him have at it. Right now, Jay Cutler, you're going to see the ball is just sailing a little bit on him. And because of it, it gets tipped up for the turnover there. Same thing, the ball gets away from him here, just over the outreach hand of Brandon Marshall. That turned into a pick 6. And one more here. Ball off target, way too high. No chance for Brandon Marshall to come down with that one. Don't know the reason for it, but the accuracy clearly is not there for Jay Cutler right now. He's going to have another opportunity now with 3 timeouts to get him down to scoring position.
It's interesting, he came out so sharp when he had the wind at his back, going 7 of 8 in the opening quarter for 100 yards. And here in the second quarter, with the wind in his face, really struggling. And a lot of running room for Cutler. He will tiptoe out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Clock stops with 1:21 to play in the half.
And we've seen Jay Cutler on a number of instances who's very good at the 2-minute and at the end of the half, end of the game as well. We were in the game against the Minnesota Vikings when they were at home. He was able to take him the length of the field and get a throw to Martellus Bennett for the touchdown. He is good at this, where he can use that individual talent of his to find that open receiver on what is usually a passive defense.
43. Go.
Only a 4-man rush. Jump ball for Marshall, and he comes down with a football. Marshall dragged down by Hayden at the 12. All 6'4" of Marshall against the 5'11" Joe Hayden.
And that's just the type of throw you're talking about. Put the ball up on the rim.
Prior to pass. Holding number 23 of the defense. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is the first down.
And you can understand Joe Hayden having to hold on to the 6'4" Brandon Marshall. He's given up about 5-6 inches and about 40 pounds. He said he wanted to muscle up with this guy on his man-to-man. He's an excellent cover corner, but obviously the size differential, the vertical jump, tough duty for Joe Hayden.
Now first down. And Cutler drops it off to Earl Bennett. He's down to the 5-yard line. That'll be a gain of 8. And the clock now down to a minute, continuing to run.
And both these corners against the big receivers of the Chicago Bears. 6'4", 230 for Brandon Marshall. 6'3", he's actually closer to 6'4", 216. Hayden's 5'11". Screen is only 5'9". That is a tough combination for those guys to be as physical as they like to be one-on-one. And right here, he's right there. But this is the trouble with big receivers. You can have them covered, and they're still open and out muscling you for the ball.
I'm curious if you're surprised the Bears huddled up there. They burned 30 seconds. And it doesn't matter. On the next play, they go to the end zone and a touchdown to Brandon Marshall. Perhaps that's why they huddled up.
Well, and you've got the timeouts, so you've got all the time you need with the timeouts to work the clock. And again, we see Jay Cutler, Brandon Marshall. I don't know whether it's by design, whether Jay just happens to be looking there, but it is all Brandon Marshall when it comes to Jay Cutler right now. He's on the outside. He just runs a little pivot route. Earl Bennett on the inside, going to clear it out. Just a hard stick into the outside. Jay Cutler actually a little behind him on the throw. Joe Hayden just about got his hand in there. Jay Cutler needed to lead him just a bit more. But again, with the big Marshall Brandon as a receiver, you got a big sweep spot.
Went after to try and tie it up by Robbie Gould. And it is good for Joe Hayden. He's been matched up against Pro Bowl receivers 6 times this year. That is the first touchdown he has allowed against a Pro Bowler. And Brandon Marshall, very much a Pro Bowler.
And you got to give Jay Cutler credit here. This thing has not started out well. He knows there's a lot of people question putting McCown down on the bench as well as he's been playing. He throws the couple interceptions, yet still, you know what? You keep your cool. I'm inside of 2 minutes. I'm going to take my team the length of the field. I've done it plenty of times, and he did it here again.
Well, really, you've seen what Bears fans have seen from time to time out of Jay Cutler since he came from Denver. We've seen some good. We've seen some bad. We've seen some ugly.
And in fairness, too, now, Jay Cutler, it's not right, it's not wrong, but it's not like he engenders a lot of support from the fans, so to speak. He's got a little bit of a coolness to him. That is his personality. That's his right. The fans have not exactly warmed to him, and they always love the backup. That's always the case. McCown's been very solid for him, but we see here in this final drive, now they got to build on it, no question, that Jay Cutler has the kind of ability. As a quarterback, we just have to see the consistency. You've got to stay away from the turnovers.
10-10 game, 24 seconds left, and once more the ball blows off of the tee.
We talked about it in the open, that the support of the organization, the head coach Mark Trestman, even Josh McCown, that was the best part of it. Just consistently said, hey, Jay Cutler's the starter. I understand that. I'll hold the fort down until he comes back.
Whitaker at the goal and up to the 22. We understand Kurt Menefee is working away around that control room to tell us what's coming up on the Visa halftime report. Kurt?
I'm coming to you from the Emmy Award-winning audio booth here at Fox. And coming up on the Visa halftime, a key AFC East game between the Patriots and the Dolphins. Plus, those other guys will join me on the Visa halftime. Hey, I wonder what this button is. Oops.
All right, it's all coming up way. You get to this time of the year, Brian, and so many teams, of course, they have to win their game. They need help maybe from somebody else to try and get into the playoffs. And Bears trying to get there under their first-year coach, Mark Trestman. And now Edwin Baker up to the 38-yard line. And the Browns are going to spend one of their 3 remaining timeouts.
Well, you run a play in that situation, clearly saying, okay, let's go into half and regroup, and all of a sudden now you crank one off. So their intention was to, let's just get out of the half, let's regroup a little bit after giving up a drive for a touchdown. But now all of a sudden you get this thing with 10 seconds. They have 2 timeouts left. You have time to put the ball anywhere you want. Maybe get it into position for a long field goal, or at the very least to try to throw up a Hail Mary. You've got to be about the 45, 50-yard line before you try a Hail Mary, or you're wasting your time.
Are you a little surprised the Browns have not probed in the running game a little bit more, even without their lead back McGahee this week?
I would be, except you got the sense from the Browns there's not a lot of confidence in their running game right now.
It'll be a false start.
We commented on how few penalties there were in the first quarter.
Prior to any false start, timeout, Chicago. Their first, the 32nd timeout.
Okay. So we got time in before the penalty. That yeah, very clean first quarter. The second quarter obviously falling apart a little bit. But Mark Trestman, you know, it's the tough decisions these coaches have to make. The thing I'll give credit to Mark Trestman about, he was unwavering in saying this is the course of action that we're going on. The last thing you want as an organization, the hardest thing to overcome is a change at the quarterback position, either due to play or to injury. And that controversy, now, you can control it as an organization. You don't have a lot to say when it comes to the fan and us in the media talking about it. That is going to be what it is. But they were incredibly consistent about tampering down the issue of the quarterback, saying from get-go that Jay Cutler was their guy.
With Josh McCown, 3 consecutive games, had thrown for 348 yards or more. Was named the NFC's Offensive Player of the Week after his Monday night game. And he goes to the bench. Obadiah to the 48-yard line, and 2 seconds left. So perhaps we will see some semblance of a Hail Mary here.
You know, and to be honest with you, quarterbacks hate this, because now they're going to throw up a Hail Mary. It's as apt to be as intercepted as not, and that's going to go on their total. And you used to irritate me. You practice, you say, look, we're going to take our shot, and then the quarterback comes in and throws it out of bounds. You know, hey, if you're going to do that, man, tell me. I'd have handed it off so we can get more running stats or something, but don't just throw the Hail Mary out of bounds.
Bears dropping a pair of safeties, and now a third inside the 5-yard line. 3-man rush. Campbell just going to step up and air it out. Out of bounds, and that's the way the first half will come to an end. Jay Cutler comes back for the first time in over a month. It's on 13 out of 19. A touchdown, a pair of interceptions, both interceptions leading to all 10 Cleveland points.
All in all, they've got to feel good about where Jay Cutler is right now.
10-10. Let's go to Kurt Menefee and the gang in L.A. The Visa halftime starts now. Set to begin the second half. Moments from now in Cleveland, we invite you to follow your favorite team all season long. Just go to iTunes.com/NFL. 10-10 game. We talked about the importance of this game for the Chicago Bears. 7-6, an identical record with Detroit, but due to being swept during the season by the Lions, they're technically a half a game back. Able to get that touchdown near the end of the first half. Big for Chicago.
And that was huge after some missteps early in the game by Jay Cutler to take on that drive the length of the field. Some real nice throws. He's got to pick up where he left off in that rhythm, not turn the ball over down the field. Right now, Cleveland's had some difficulty getting the ball down the field. They're running the ball fairly decently, like everybody does against the Bears, but they're not getting those big plays down the field.
All right, let's put on your coaching cap. You did win a Super Bowl, as I recall, with the Baltimore Ravens. So the halftime adjustments, let's start with Cleveland.
Well, like I said, Cleveland's got to find their playmakers, particularly down the field, to get these big plays from Jason Campbell. And then for Chicago, Cutler's got to find his mechanics. I think that's the reason for these turnovers. And leading to that for Chicago as well, he's got to avoid Deshaun Gibson. 2 interceptions now. I'd find out where he is and maybe go someplace else. I don't know if Gibson's that good, but he's that lucky at least today.
Deshaun Gibson getting his first career touchdown. 44 yards on the return. Thrown by Cutler. Let's check in along the sideline with, I'm sure, a very cold Laura Oakland.
Hi, Tom. I talked to Mark Trestman, who said we saw both sides of Jay Cutler, the rust and the self-confidence. He said, I'm hoping we see the positive in the second half. We saw him make a mistake. We saw him learn from it. And we saw him not be afraid to take a shot and go deep. We're going to keep pushing, be disciplined, take care of the ball. As for the Browns, Coach Szynski said Jay's been great in spurts. They are capable of exploding at any moment, so we have got to get them off the field on third downs. Offensively, he said we have to get Josh Gordon and Jordan Cameron involved, but we have to be on the field. They're killing us time of possession. We have to make sure to take advantage of this opportunity, this first drive, get our rhythm going with our big guys. Tom?
All right, Laura, thank you very much. Hard to believe Josh Gordon nor Cameron Jordan, or Jordan Cameron, I beg your pardon, had a reception in the entire first half, and yet the Browns are in a 10-10 game.
And the turnovers make the difference, and they haven't even been targeted that much. I think we're going to see a little bit different approach this second half by Cleveland on this series.
Very short kick. And bobbling the football, and it is out of bounds, and it didn't appear the Bears ever had possession of the ball. The Bears have not recovered a fumble, if you can believe this, in over 600 snaps of football.
And with this wind, all of a sudden the ball just dropped in a way that he wasn't quite ready for. Right there, he comes up underneath it, and then it just kicks down. And now they're very lucky this thing didn't get just kicked in. He tried right there to snap it back into field of play, like keeping a punt out of the end zone. Wasn't enough to keep it in bounds. Huge. Dodged the bullet, did the Cleveland Browns there.
It almost appeared here at halftime as though the winds had shifted a little bit. The flag, which was blowing in the end zone towards that side of the field, to your right looking at the screen. First catch of the game by Jordan. And Josh Gordon is up to the 33-yard line. Some of the numbers, I mean, they clearly favor, in terms of offense, total yards, Chicago, until you get to that turnovers category.
And like Coach Szynski talked about, that time of possession. It's hard to get drives going. It's hard to stay with the run against this porous run defense of the Chicago Bears when you're 3 and out and don't have the ball a lot.
380! 380! False start. Number 12 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
You know, Brian, I made mention of the wind. It almost appears as if it's going to be impossible to determine at any given moment in time which way the wind is blowing. The comment made down before the game, Laura Oakland reporting blowing from, as where you're looking, from the left side to the right side. A moment ago it was blowing the other way, and now blowing right back into the face of quarterback Jason Campbell. Zachary Bowman, his second interception of the game, and this one will be taken into the end zone, a touchdown.
Turnabout's fair play. This is just a miscue between Jason Campbell and Greg Little. You're going to see at the top, Little turns in as though he was expecting the ball to be a deep in. The ball was thrown to the outside like he thought it was going to be a comeback, and Zach Bowman saw the comeback and took it the distance. That's just a miscue and a bad throw right there. You can see Jason Campbell thinking he thought that Little was going to break to the outside on a comeback. He can't understand why Campbell or Little did not. Obviously a miscue. You zig when you should have zagged.
6th defensive touchdown of this season for Chicago. Of course, forcing turnovers has been the name of the game for so many years by the Bears defense. That has not been the story this year. They had not forced a turnover in 2 of the last 3 games. Point after is good. And for the first time in the game today, Mark Trestman's Chicago Bears have the lead.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram.
Great exhibit going on right now at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame here in Cleveland, Ohio. It's all about the Rolling Stones and all the guitars through the years used by Keith Richards. Playing the tune of getting a defensive turnover. Those have been few and far between for this Bears defense since really they got out of the month of September. And wrapped up back at the 15-yard line is Whitaker.
Jay Cutler coming off a month of inactivity. Things did not start out well. Starts with this interception with the high throw to Brandon Marshall. Again, a high throw, possibly not falling through his mechanics. And then coming back, and now we're seeing Jay Cutler show up for the last 2 minutes of the half, driving the length of the field for a touchdown. They hope that that rust of that month off has now been dusted off, and Jay Cutler will stay in the rhythm that he had in that last drive.
Well, he's sitting and waiting for a while. The Browns got the football to begin the second half. The interception returned for a touchdown. So the Chicago defense right back out there. Ratliff wrapping up Edwin Baker on first down. It'll be a gain of 3. Ratliff playing in his 3rd game, 4-time Pro Bowler. So many outstanding years with the Dallas Cowboys. But then had the terrible groin injury last year. And went over a year without playing in an NFL game until 3 weeks ago. Play fake to Baker, and then they drop it off to him. And still on his feet. We mentioned this is the first NFL game for Edwin Baker. Norv Turner out in San Diego drafted him in the 7th round in 2012. 15 weeks on the practice squad, was inactive for the final 2 games of the year. Then in 2013, the first 11 weeks of this year with Denver on their practice squad. Houston picked him up, put him on their practice squad. So now his 3rd team this season for Edwin Baker, and the first time he's playing in an NFL game. Interesting to know that Baker is getting a chance to play today. He's alongside Kirk Cousins at Michigan State. Let's check in downstairs with Laura Oakman.
Tom, we've seen Mel Tucker, defensive coordinator Mel Tucker, down on the field, which we've seen since the Bears bye week. He decided to come down because he said he wanted to be able to look the guys in the eyes and be able to make sure they were getting his message. That last defensive series, he yelled the last thing to the guys, huddled them up before they got in the field, and yelled, "Score or put us in position to score." I think the message was received there.
Was it ever? Mel very excited about being back here in Cleveland, where we mentioned he was born and raised, also coached here for 4 years. Down the middle, it should have been intercepted. Had an eye on Gordon, and that hit Conti right in the chest.
That's a tough one for the safety because you see the ball coming, but you don't know if a big Josh Gordon's going to jump in front of it. Watch Jason Campbell look right down the middle of the field. He sees Josh Gordon at the top of your screen. Got it good and high, and right now Conti doesn't know, am I going to get a pick? Am I going to have to make a tackle? And he did neither.
Well, it didn't look like Gordon. He may have been hearing footsteps right here.
Deion Sanders would call that a business decision.
Well, the question is, what would Rob Chizinski call? 3rd down and 8. And Campbell will run for the first down up to midfield.
The Bears brought a solid rush, but it all collapsed to the outside. If you're going to bring extra people from the outside, you have to stay firm on the inside. Watch in here as it all starts to spread. I see the pressure. I got 5, 6 guys bearing down on me, but all of a sudden the inside integrity, if you're going to bring that kind of outside pressure, James Anderson needed to stay firmer right in front of Jason Campbell.
380! They clock down to 3-2, now 1. They get it off into the hands of Obadiah. And that'll be a gain of close to 4 on first down. Talking about all the rushing yards the Bears have allowed this season. Dead last in the NFL, but today facing a team that does not have a guy that's ever been a primary back in the NFL after the concussion suffered a week ago late in the game by Willis McGahee. Second down and 7. Blitz coming. They get it away. Catch made by Little. Cuts it back to the inside. He's to the 32. And that'll be a first down. And here we are closing in on the 10-minute mark. Josh Gordon without a single reception in this game.
Tom, we have to talk
the
about
one. I beg your pardon. He had the 1 in this quarter.
Talk about the running game. We've got to talk about the trade of Richardson early in the year in Indianapolis. And that's a reason they put themselves on this course and the rotating backs that they've had.
Marquise Gray, former college quarterback, out of the Wildcat. And now the 3rd string tight end carries it down to the 14-yard line. That is the 4th time he has run it this season. College quarterback in Minnesota.
Yeah, the familiar Wildcat, all of a sudden just as a changeup. Marquise Gray is an excellent athlete, great hands, big athlete. This guy's 245, 250 pounds. You can use him as a fullback. You can use him as an H-back. It's interesting that they use him in this capacity when they do go to the Wildcat.
That was an 18-yard gain. Look at this formation. And Gray once more out of the Wildcat. And that's a read option. And that's what he used to run for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and he's inside the 5-yard line. That's a way to get the run game cranked up.
Well, the Wildcat, I'm not a huge fan of the Wildcat, but only if you're not getting good play at the quarterback position. But obviously, it makes a difference for him here. It's a change-up look for an offense. This kid, I remember this kid at the University of Minnesota. They really thought he could develop as a quarterback. Never quite happened, but he was an outstanding athlete that they found a niche role for him here in Cleveland.
Now first down and goal. Standard offense here. And the first career touchdown for Edwin Baker. And he is certainly going to keep that football in this his first NFL game today. Just signed this week.
It's all rugby push right here. Bodies pushing and shoving, putting as many people on the goal line as you can. That's an exciting time for a young man to get his first NFL touchdown, and a nice response by the Cleveland Browns after coming out, starting a drive with a pick 6 and not emotionally folding, going the length of the field for a score.
Billy Cundiff will try and tie the game with a point after. There is an injured Brown on the play. Sean Laval, their starting right guard, shaken up. Of course, they're already starting a backup at left guard, the one-time starter who missed almost all of last year with a blood clot, and Jason Pinkston. He's in for John Greco at left guard this week. Cundiff to try and tie it, which he does. So a bounce-back drive indeed. 17 all in Cleveland. Take a look at that bottom note right there. The last time two players that we're talking about on opposite teams had 2 interceptions, Bowman has a pair, Tashawn Gibson has a pair. Each player returning one of those interceptions for a touchdown and coming in the same game. You got to go all the way back to December of 1965.
How do you come up with that? How do people come up with that?
I got a lot to
Not only you, I meant our great statistician group here. How does that occur to you to come up with that? That's a nice job.
8:20 to go. We're tied at 17.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Walking with Dinosaurs. Friday, only in theaters.
Welcome back to Cleveland, Ohio. A 17-17 game. Been a long wait for Jay Cutler, Brian. You pointed out during the commercial break, the last time he's been on the field, it was the final 2 minutes of the opening half. Had the screen set up one way. Cleveland had it read beautifully and dropped a yard behind the line of scrimmage is Cutler by Jabal Shear. Now this holiday season is part of the league's commitment to celebrate and honor alumni players. How about that, alumni? The great Jim Brown. NFL homecoming spotlights a return of legends across the country. To access exclusive content and hear legends in their own words, visit NFL.com/homecoming. Second down, and a catch is made by, once again, Brandon Marshall. It's been Marshall or bust for Jay Cutler today.
And it has, and I certainly understand going after Brandon Marshall the way that they do. I'm just a little surprised. We've seen a little bit of Martellus Bennett, but we've seen virtually nothing to Alshon Jeffrey. You know, Jeffrey's sitting here. He's got 3 receptions for 19 yards, but, you know, in the last 5 or 6 weeks, asleep with McCown, it's been the balance of all these guys. He may have to find Jeffrey a little bit more in balance to Brandon Marshall.
Well, that was something that was talked about, written about a great deal with Cutler returning. He tends to look in Marshall's direction so frequently, and that's a story today. Although Jeffrey here on the 3rd down reception to move the chains up to the 33-yard line.
And that's part of the rhythm we're talking about, Jay Cutler getting back into it. Cleveland, I mentioned a lot in the first half. They are committed to this 4-man rush, and it is not getting home much. Of course, you can't argue with it. There's been two turnovers, excuse me. So the mentality, look, he'll throw it to us if we give him a chance. So not wanting to commit more pressure, leaving more one-on-one outside with these big receivers, but they're not getting a lot of pressure so far on Jay Cutler with just a 4-man rush.
Forte, his first carry here in the second half, and that'll be a gain of close to 4. Cutler 15 out of 21, 182 yards. The touchdown in the final minute of the opening half, which tied the game at that time. And both of his interceptions have led to 10 Browns points. Forte enough, it appears, for a first down up to the 44-yard line. This guy is such an outstanding player, Matt Forte.
He does it all, obviously, in terms of rushing the ball. He's so three-dimensional. He's 4th in the NFL in yards per game this season. Excellent receiver out of the backfield, particularly with screens and little jump-offs, and really evolved into one of the best blocking backs, not just physically, but mentally being able to go where he needs to protect his quarterback.
6,400 career rushing yards, closing in on 9,400 yards from scrimmage, second only to the great Walter Payton in Chicago Bears franchise history, and that's a gain of close to 8 on first down. Since entering the NFL in 2008, remember, Forte was a 2nd-round pick out of Tulane. Only Adrian Peterson and Chris Johnson have more rushing yards than Forte.
Has a bit of an upright running style. I worried about him when he first came in, that he was going to be able to hold up to the beating. But like the Robert Smith I had in Minnesota, Eddie George on our set there back in L.A., they were a little bit upright. Those guys were pretty good too. So
you say those names in these parts, and you're thinking Ohio State Buckeyes. Bush still on his feet inside the 40, wrapped up all the way down to the 33-yard line. A penalty flag down on the field.
Illegal shift. Offense. Number 17 was going in motion as the line was going down, getting set. It's a 5-yard penalty. It'll be second down.
Well, that's a good news for Cleveland. The very, very bad news is that's still Joe Hayden down on the sideline. Still taking a look at injured Joe Hayden on the Cleveland sideline. Leon McFadden, the rookie out of San Diego State. Of course, he was a guy flagged for the pass interference call in the end zone in New England last week, setting up the controversial game-winning Patriots touchdown. He replaces Hayden on this second down and 8. Pump fake one way, and Cutler hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. Paul Kruger, who had 2 sacks in New England last weekend, hitting Cutler.
Yeah, you got to go back to the injury here. Jermon Bushrod, as Joe Hayden goes underneath it, I think he just catches him with his left knee onto the hip or side of Joe Hayden as he goes down. Right there, just a shot. Hopefully that's all it is and nothing more for Joe Hayden.
Third down and 8. Bears are 5 of 8 on third down in the game.
Marshall has been the go-to guy on third down.
Blitz coming. Bears pick it up. One man to beat. Martellus Bennett is down, but the ball is loose. And it's scooped up by T.J. Ward. No penalty flags. That is a touchdown for the Browns. Third turnover of the game for Chicago. And all 3 have led to Cleveland points. A couple of touchdowns and a field goal.
Martellus Bennett just trying to drive for the first down, getting stripped from behind by Billy Wynn. The ball gets knocked out, certainly short of the first down, and all of a sudden the Cleveland Browns, looking to drive by the Chicago Bears, get another score off a turnover. Defense being the key for Cleveland once again.
And that has not been one of the strengths of this Cleveland defense this year, coming in only 16 forced turnovers. And here they have nearly a quarter of that total through almost 3 quarters of football. An interception returned by Gibson, a fumble returned by Ward. Cleveland by 7. A pair of defensive touchdowns for Cleveland, 1 for Chicago, and here we are in a 7-point game.
Yeah, who'd have thunk it? Now, you knew coming in that this Cleveland Brown team is pretty good defensively. Like you said, not known for turnovers, but very good in terms of not giving up yards and the whole 9 yards. And they've needed it because, frankly, the offense has not done a whole lot.
Not a good sign there for the Browns. Joe Hayden, yes, able to get up and walk. That's a positive. But they're going to send him back into the locker room.
Jay Cutler needs to get warm because he hasn't been a whole bunch in this second half.
Let's check in downstairs with Laura Oatman.
You just saw Joe Hayden walk into the locker room, as you said, Tom. The good news is he was walking in on his own. You can always tell how much a guy means to a team when it's not just the trainers tending to him, but it's Jason Campbell, it's the quarterback, it's Josh Gordon, everyone watching, asking if he's okay. It is officially a hip injury. His return right now is questionable.
All right, Laura, thank you very much. Into the end zone, but Hester going to bring it out across the 10 and up to the 20. On the very first drive of the game, Cutler threw an interception, came back 2 drives later. Gibson intercepting the pass and taking it in for the touchdown. And now a fumble return for a touchdown by T.J. Ward. Ward, I tell you, playing on a Cleveland team that has had, what, 6 consecutive losing seasons, this is a young man who's one of the top safeties in all of football.
Yeah, of course, he was the guy that put the hit on Rob Gronkowski. Everybody was talking about a legal hit, by the way. They really want to keep him here, does this team. Joe Hayden in particular talking about how he very much wants to keep his running mate back in with him.
That is Ward's 2nd touchdown this season, and on first down, Forte right at the line of scrimmage, and as if on cue, T.J. Ward coming up to meet him. Let's check in back in L.A. with Kurt Menefee.
If New England wins out, they're the #1 seed in the AFC. But first things first, this is Daniel Thomas of the Dolphins, 2-yard reception. Miami leads at 17-10 in the 4th quarter. Tom and Brian, the Dolphins still have a chance in the playoffs. They're very much in the AFC hunt.
Yes, they are. Certainly that's, the glass half full. New England, yeah, if they win out, they could be #1. By the end of the day today, they could be #3.
Yeah, because the Cincinnati Bengals now are lurking right around there to step into that #2 spot.
And, of course, Cincinnati has already beaten New England this season, and Cutler is sacked. Julian Posey, who's seen very little playing time. But after the injury to Hayden, he's in as an extra defensive back and coming in along with McFadden to drag down Cutler.
Yeah, Leon McFadden came from the top side, as we showed you there. Then Posey bringing these patented corner or nickel blitzes. Ray Horton, the defensive coordinator, with his Pittsburgh Steelers background, the patented nickel or zone blitz. You bring those guys from the outside, it's always a shot.
Bears are going to spend a timeout before this 3rd down and 11.
Well, Greg Kinnear's coming to Fox in a new show called Rake. If Dr. House was a lawyer, it would be this guy. And you know he'll be getting into all kinds of trouble. Don't miss Rake, premiering Thursday, January 23rd, right here on Fox.
Well, he's a talented guy.
He's fun to watch.
Very, very funny guy.
That's all we need is a lawyer with a house mentality. Oh, my gosh.
Take a look at these fellas right down below us. Wow. Looking good.
No, they're not. don't encourage them, okay?
And they're out of the shotgun. That's Earl Bennett in motion on a 3rd down and 11. Cutler steps up, throws, and that's not going anywhere. DeQuell Jackson standing right next to Earl Bennett. And Anthony Bryant, the rookie out of East Central, is in there to put on the pressure against Cutler. So now the Bears are forced to punt it away. Cleveland will spend a 30-second timeout here.
Well, Chicago has got to have that proverbial sense of urgency, Tom, because you've already outlined it. You've got the Detroit Lions all but at home on a Monday night against Baltimore Ravens, who are in the thick of it now.
Yes, they are.
They got Miami breathing down their throats, San Diego, obviously, with a big win against Denver, and then the Green Bay Packers. They're a half game back. Now, they're on the road. They're playing the Dallas Cowboys. Aaron Rodgers couldn't get back this week. I'd be surprised if he's not back next week if they can pull off that road win against the Dallas Cowboys, this NFC North. And it looks like only the winner of the North.
Well, oftentimes you take a look at the 4th quarter and drives and what might or might not be. But Brian, Cleveland already with a 7-point lead and the football still in this 3rd quarter. This becomes, it feels like, a very important drive defensively for Chicago.
Not only just to stop them, but maybe even a turnover. They need to generate a turnover just to get better field position for their offense. Jason Campbell has not been real effective down the field, nor have they run the ball particularly well. All these points seem to be coming off the defensive side, although the last series they were able to move it down and get into the score with the little bit use of the Wildcat.
Marquise Griffin, former quarterback at Minnesota.
False start, number 73 in the offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That's a 6-time Pro Bowl left tackle Joe Thomas.
This is the part of the game against the porous run defense of the Bears that the Browns would love to just pound away and start to eat down some clock.
380. 380.
Play fake, and they drop it off to Whitaker, and he is dragged down. Maybe a pickup of a yard, and that's maybe.
Well, they've gone to the screens all day long. Went to the well once too often there. It's been very effective for them, but a little predictable after a penalty and a long distance, trying to set up a more workable down and distance.
Well, and I would imagine some of the Browns fans are saying, hey, look, we ran that Wildcat. This is a former college quarterback. This is clearly something we worked on. Why not come back to that to begin this?
And they might as we get inside the red zone. Seems to be that's where they haven't dialed it up.
Campbell finding Baker out of the backfield, and look at the strong running by Edwin Baker, and that's enough for a first down. Well, this is a young man making a name for himself, and this is his first NFL game.
Well, as you said, there's a familiarity there with North Turner, the offensive coordinator. Had him in San Diego, was familiar with him, saw the potential for the young man, and has gotten his opportunity here with the trading away of Trent Richardson and the injury to Willis McGahee.
Back in the hands of Baker. Ryan, you and I were talking a lot last week about the outstanding head coach at Michigan State University, Mark D'Antonio, and what a job he's done there. Of course, they pulled off the big upset of Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game you saw on Fox here last weekend. You're the starting tailback for Mark D'Antonio. You got to be a pretty good football player.
Yeah, you can be pretty tough.
Down the sideline looking for Josh Gordon, and it's incomplete, and the flag comes in.
Well, that was a late flag from the middle of the field. And they're discussing possibly, is this an uncatchable ball? And this is the way it should go. Discussing it. What did you see? What did I see? Where was the position of the ball?
There is no foul for defensive pass interference as the ball is uncatchable. It'll be third down.
So there you have it.
You can just see on the outside, there's a little bit of pushing and shoving here. Josh Gordon on the outside, lined up against Isaiah Fry. Gets that left arm bar up a little bit, reaches back. Even that, I don't know if it was worth the call, but clearly couldn't even see the ball in the picture.
Well, the covering official made that call immediately. So job well done. 3rd and 6. Campbell delivers to Josh Gordon, and that is a first down. Only the second catch of this entire game for Gordon. And that's the way the third quarter comes to an end. Perhaps the Bears' playoff chances hanging in the balance on a freezing day in Cleveland, down by 7. Getting close to Santa Claus time. Christmas nearly upon us. A 7-point lead. What a Christmas present that would be for the Browns in this their final home game to get a victory.
Well, in a tough, hard-fought loss against New England last week, they can feel good about maybe the direction that this organization is going. It's been a tough haul for them over the last 15 years since they've been reconstituted here in Cleveland.
Make it one way, come back the other way. And a catch is made by the tight end, Jordan Cameron, who's also been very quiet here today.
You know, they've made a lot of dramatic changes here in Cleveland. You can see with the trade of Trent Richardson, they got 2 firsts, a second, 2 thirds. depending upon where their fourth round pick, they could have a lot of picks in that first 100 players to build on going forward with a good core offensive line. We've seen what they do defensively. They got Josh Gordon. They've got a good tight end. Need to address the quarterback situation. Things could look good here for Cleveland.
We saw Zachary Bowman, who has 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, left off the field. And now they put it in the hands of Obadiah. Penalty flag down. He had enough to pick up a first down, but will it stand?
Number 66 in the offense. 10-yard penalty. It's still second down.
Sean LaBelle, the right guard. Of course, Bowman is already filling in for the Pro Bowl corner Charles Tillman. Now, really, it's a first-year player, and Isaiah Fry has done a solid job in his first year as their nickelback. But now he is filling the slot of Bowman, another step down the depth chart.
And again, just another on that list of defenders for the Chicago Bears. The defensive coordinator, Mel Tucker, is having to account for.
Ready. Lock.
Gordon went into his cut and fell down at the 30. 3rd and long coming up for the Browns.
And the learning curve for a big receiver, that's been the thing for Josh Gordon. For a big man breaking down into cuts, in and out of routes, that's the biggest improvement you need to make. Brandon Marshall talked about it in his progression. Michael Irvin, who came in here and talked, given his relationship with North Turner, talked to them about that's the challenge for big men, and it is a big man receiving league now. You've got to learn to break down and use that body position on your routes.
At the very minimum, Cleveland trying to get close enough for a field goal try. And that went off target to the intended receiver, Greg Little.
I don't know if it was much off target as Greg Little kind of turned that down going on in the inside. Once you start on the inside route like that, you need to continue. Jason Campbell seeing where the open slot is, and Greg Little just kind of hesitated and then tried to keep up and reach out for it rather than continue on across.
Hessler standing back at his own 10. Spencer landing on the punt. What a job. That was touched by Brown, it looked like, which would have automatically downed the football. And then McManus picked it up. But it had already been touched.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by T-Mobile. Unleash.
We are in the 4th quarter in Cleveland. Jay Cutler and the Bears down by 7. Cutler's first game back since early November when he injured his left ankle against the Detroit Lions. From his end zone, hit as he throws. And a flag will come in. It looked like McFadden never turned around. He had great coverage on Alshon Jeffrey.
And that you can see at the top, and that's what it is. He did not play the ball at all, and you're going to get caught. Little stutter move on the outside, playing the receiver all the way. The bump and run, you'll get away with it. And Cutler, Jabal Sheard on the backside. Cutler was slow to get up. Not a real big hit, but all of a sudden he just kind of gets up with a little bit of a hitch in his get along.
First down.
Boy, the Eagles and the Seahawks have been flagged for more pass interference penalties this year than these Cleveland Browns. It's a 30-yard gain on the penalty. Cutler appears to be, when he got up, and even now limping around a little bit. Josh McCown starting to crank it up over on the Bears sideline. Cutler steps up, throwing down to Marshall. Flag on the play.
Call this on screen, or are they going to call this on Brandon Marshall?
Prior to the pass, illegal contact. Number 22 in the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
That's 40 yards gained on 2 passing plays without a completed pass.
Right here on the outside, he gets a free release. You can see screen on the top. And just as he goes by, that contact right there, he clearly grabs him, alters his action. It wasn't the late contact. That's what the fans are booing about. It was the earlier contact where he definitely pulled on Brandon Marshall.
So it is a 5-yard penalty. So they have picked up 35 yards with this drive starting from their own 5-yard line. On back-to-back penalties against the Cleveland defense. Incomplete. Trying to lay it off to Forte. Let's check in back in Los Angeles.
Well, once down 27-9, the Eagles have struck with 2 touchdowns in less than 3 minutes. That completion from Foles to Zach Ertz made it closer. They missed the 2-point conversion, but still a 27-22 Viking lead as they start the 4th quarter. Tom and Brian.
Well, it's so interesting you have so many games of importance around the NFL. It's interesting that the AFC North is playing against the NFC North. And in both of those divisions, you have such a scramble for teams trying to stay in the hunt. Martellus Bennett short of a first down. Not by much. 3rd down and 2 upcoming for the Bears. Jackson on the tackle once more.
And that's the kind of throws Mark Trestman wants to see more of Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler's got great ability down the field. He tends to want to wait out just a little bit for those big plays down the field. That's fine. But to get through your progressions a little quicker, drop the ball off, now leave yourself in a much more convertible 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2.
It's a long one. 3rd down and just short of 2. And the Bears spent a timeout. Chicago has 1 remaining. Seven-point Cleveland lead. Bears with a football. 3rd down and 1. They give it to Forte. He has a first down to the Cleveland 44-yard line. Turnovers and points off turnovers, a story today. Gibson returning an interception for a touchdown. Zachary Bowman doing the same thing for Chicago. Wynn forcing the fumble. TJ Ward recovering the fumble, racing to the end zone for a touchdown. And that last scored the difference in this one with 12 minutes to go. Cutler looking down the field for Brandon Marshall, and it's broken up. Gibson back there along with Buster Screen.
Just taking the deep vertical down the middle. He's going to down here at the bottom. Jay Cutler trying to move the safeties just a little bit. He had Alshon Jeffrey coming underneath. The guys, I know he's a big man, and you got people in front and in back. Typically, he can come up with that. But I agree with Jay Cutler kind of looking at Brandon Marshall a great deal. He seems to be too focused on Brandon Marshall for my money.
Nice play. Made by Phil Taylor, wrapping up Forte before he could get it cranked up. So another 3rd down. But this time it's not 3rd and 1. This time it's 3rd and 11.
And they've been solid on 3rd down. They're 7 of 11. And they've converted with a couple wide open shots to Martellus Bennett and an Alshon Jeffrey when they drop coverage. In this instance, Cleveland has brought a little pressure. Brought some guys from the outside. We'll have to see if they want to be more passive here.
One of the very good 3rd down numbers here today. 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. 3rd down. Fakes it to Forte. Steps up. Lofts it to Jeffrey in the corner of the end zone. And the defender missed it. Jeffrey caught it for a touchdown. A penalty flag is behind the line of scrimmage. A mistimed jump in the secondary on really just a...
Roughing the passer, number 97 of the defense. That penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. It is a touchdown.
How in the world did this happen? Of course, there are a lot of defenses starting to wonder how Jeffrey seems to make all these plays.
Well, this could be the one we see on Fox Sports 1, and it seems to be all around Alshon Jeffrey. We saw the deep jumping touchdown against Minnesota, the great corner touchdown against the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night, and getting back into body position. This is just thrown up on a wing and a prayer by Jay Cutler, and he comes down with the ball. Alshon Jeffrey, I've been saying he needed to find Alshon Jeffrey. He found him.
Boy, this kid is stepping up when the Bears need him most. Boy, his second year out of the University of South Carolina. To tie it, Robbie Gould. Boy, it looked like the Cleveland defense was in great position, but Jeffrey with the football and the touchdown.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Walking with Dinosaurs. Friday, only in theaters.
Third consecutive game with a touchdown reception. He's become a highlight film seemingly every week. Brian, we saw it 2 weeks ago when Jeffrey set the all-time Bears single game receiving yards record. 249 of them against Minnesota, including a couple of spectacular touchdown receptions. After the penalty, Whitaker brings it out to the 13-yard line.
He's becoming a personal highlight film for the one on Fox Sports 1. Great job leaping off a dead sprint, keeping the ball high against Minnesota for a touchdown. We all saw this on Monday night. Beautiful job keeping the ball again high. Great hands, working the feet to the corner of the end zone. This one just using his body position between two defenders to come down with a touchdown. And of course, here's the late hit on Cutler. I'm not quite sure why that brought about a penalty unless he maybe got a hit to the head.
Under 11 minutes to go here in Cleveland. Certainly two franchises, historically speaking, in the history of this great game. Cleveland Browns and the Chicago Bears. On a frigid early afternoon in Cleveland, Ohio. And they cannot get the play off.
Delay of game. Offense, number 17. The 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
And you heard Jason Campbell, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, let's get it off. And when you're in the gun, there's a lot of different ways to institute it. The offensive lineman, in this instance, the center, Mack, having to make the calls as to where he wanted the line to go. Couldn't get it off in time. Disappointing when you're at home.
First and 10 becomes first and 15. And Obadiah not going anywhere. Jeremiah Ratliff there to meet him. Friday, January the 3rd. One of college football's great events. The AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic. 13th ranked Oklahoma State. 8th ranked Missouri. 7:30 Eastern only on Fox. They have Marquise Gray. We saw him out of the Wildcat. A couple of big runs. A touchdown drive in the third quarter, but now in his regular tight end position. Crossing pattern, and that is Little still on his feet. Out to the 10. It'll bring up third down. And 14.
Well, Josh Gordon, like we said, has been conspicuously unaccounted for so far. This would be
Jordan Cameron.
Good place for him. Jordan Cameron, exactly. These are the two big receivers they've got. This is, if they're going to show up, this would be the place to do it.
Gordon has 2 catches, 24 yards. Cameron 1 reception for 6 yards.
Gordon's down here at the bottom of the screen.
Good protection. And that is Gordon. Did he catch the football? Bears are saying no. Browns are trying to hurry, and now no. Incomplete.
Yeah, Jeff Triplett had the good view of it. It clearly bounced in. Jason Campbell sees he's got the deep in cut. And the ball, only one bounce, though. This is a dangerous situation for Cleveland now, kicking out of the shadow of their own goal post, and Devin Hester inside the 50 waiting for the ball.
Good punt. Back at the 45, it is Hester. Breaking it to the right. Hester still on his feet and is run out of bounds by the punter Lanning. But with 9:09 left to go in a 24-24 game, Chicago with excellent field position, starting this drive at the Cleveland 36-yard line, 21-yard return for Devin Hester.
And this is where you're counting on the veteran experience of Jay Cutler. We saw this at the end of the half when he took him the length of the field to get a score. Here, it's all about, with a 24-24 tie, 9 minutes, it's all about that veteran perspective. Yeah, I want the touchdown. The field goal could win it for us. I just can't turn the ball.
Pretty steady dose of Matt Forte, you would imagine here. That'll be a gain of a yard. You know, we brought up earlier, we'll get back to that. First, let's check in with Joel Klatt back in Los Angeles.
Go down to Miami, where Tom Brady and the Patriots feeling the heat. Ryan Tannehill late in the ball game to Marcus Thigpen. 14 yards for the touchdown. Dolphins inside of a minute up 24-20. New England looking for an AFC East crown. Guys?
Of course, New England looking for another miracle. They have had more than their fair share of them this season, including last week against these Cleveland Browns, scoring 2 touchdowns in the final minute, 1 second of the game. Second down for Cutler, and that's Martellus Bennett, the tight end. Tries to turn the corner, wrapped up and dragged out of bounds, very close to a first down, depending on the spot. It looks like they will give him a good spot, and it's enough for a first down to the 30. In the last 2 weeks, it was Jacksonville 2 weeks ago. It was allowing 14 points in the final 61 seconds to lose against New England last week.
And Coach Jasinski knows that's great to know that we're that close and we're building, but at some point you got to close these out. And that's the next step for his organization.
Pitch it to Forte. Inside the 10 and down to the 7-yard line is Matt Forte.
Now that was a fun play. Well designed. You're going to see Alshon Jeffrey come into motion here, fake the reverse, the speed sweep they call it, and then the quick pitch out to Matt Forte.
Talked about the blocking earlier. Jeffrey and Marshall, good blocking there by the third receiver, Earl Bennett, on a 19-yard game, and there's an injured Brown down on one knee, and that's to Sean Gibson. You know, I know many of you at home are wondering about the win, and it's something we talked about earlier. We heard from Laura Oakman about it. And it must be almost impossible, Brian, from any angle at this point. If you look to the flags in the end zone they're going, it would be blowing in their face. You look at the flags on the top of the uprights, they're not doing anything.
You can see that
they're
wind
playing
turbine.
kicks like it's blowing the other way.
There's so much wind here, they're powering the stadium with that wind turbine. I said it earlier, I've been here many, many times. I can deal with wind. Wind in my face, wind in my back,
blowing
wind to the side. But it's like you say, it changes almost minute by minute. So when your field goal kicker comes to you, as I used to with Matt Stover, say, okay, I'm good from here. Well, Matt had to almost give me a minute by minute. Well, I'm good from here. Well, I'm
really?
not now. Well, now I am. Well, now, you know, as a quarterback, because it just, even your play calling. Can I trust the wind? Can I not trust it? Am I going in? Am I going out?
So now the Browns are without Joe Hayden. They're without Sean Gibson in their secondary. And on first down, it is Forte. He's to the 3-yard line, maybe the 2. How about it, Laura Oakman?
Tom, they're evaluating Gibson right now. It looks like something with, he's waving off the trainer saying he's fine, but they have ruled out Joe Hayden. He will not return with that hip injury.
All right, Laura, thank you very much. They're still taking a look at Gibson over on the Cleveland bench. Ball at the 2-yard line, second down and goal for the Bears. 6.5 to go in Cleveland. Dropped behind the line of scrimmage, and once more it is T.J. Ward. Oh, what a game and what a season it has been for T.J. Ward.
All the way up into here, they've been dialing up these pressures. All of the Pittsburgh Steelers background that defensive coordinator Ray Horton has. So far, they're ahead of the curve in terms of what they've been able to do. And now here's the tough one. 3 points is going to give you the lead, but you got Jay Cutler. You got a great receiving combination. What do I do? Run the ball or throw it?
Third down and goal from just inside the 5. Cutler to Earl Bennett, and that is a touchdown. Everybody in the world watching Marshall and Jeffrey along with Martellus Bennett. But it is Earl Bennett who, for the second straight week, catches a 4-yard touchdown. That's a new career high for him, 4 on the year. And a touchdown lead for the Bears.
And that's exactly what they did. They put Brandon Marshall over the top on a quick corner, brought Bennett back underneath, figuring the coverage would drop off, finding that little void in the zone for the touchdown.
Gold, it is good. Bears lead by 7. Back-to-back touchdown drives for Jay Cutler and the Chicago Bears. They basically had the Hail Mary that Jeffrey went up and made the play on. And then after the good punt return, set up by a good defensive stop, Cutler delivers his second touchdown throw of this second half. Whitaker will take a knee. This holiday season, part of the league's commitment to celebrate and honor alumni players, NFL homecoming spotlights a return of legends to stadium across the country. And how about this guy? The great Jim Brown.
I love the conversation. Someone said, well, in today's game, how much do you think Jim Brown would run for? The guy said, I don't think he'd get 50, 60 yards. He goes, you don't think Jim Brown gets 60, 70 yards in today's game? He goes, wait a minute, Jim Brown's 74 years old. That's pretty good.
I'm not so sure he still could.
You're right. He may be underestimated.
Of course, our legendary producer, Bob Stenner, used to spend time regularly on a nightly basis with Jim Brown for many, many years. Our good buddy Fred Dwyer. First down. Reception made by Obadiah. That's up for maybe a 2-yard pickup. Closing in on 5.5 to go. A must-win game for the Bears. Could you say, yeah, they could lose and still get in? Of course you could make that statement.
Oh boy, but
it would be true. But
particularly since, as we said, you're going to have to win the NFC North to get in, because I don't think the wild card is going to come out of this division.
You have an 8-5 Arizona team on the outside looking in right now for the wild card. Once more it is Whitaker, and that is good enough for Obadiah, I beg your pardon. The first down up to the 33-yard line, and this is going into play today. Division leaders, Seattle, New Orleans, Detroit, Philadelphia. Detroit very much in the balance, as is Philadelphia. Carolina and San Francisco have better records than those division leaders. Down the middle of the field. And Gordon went sliding into that one. Have to take a look at what may not happen there. Gordon has not been all that excited about going into traffic during the course of this game here today.
And he's just at the top of the screen right into here. We've seen a couple of these deep in routes that whether he's anticipating them to be a little flatter or he's just a little hesitant to go in there. And of course, you said a little hesitant to go in and get your head knocked off. We certainly understand it.
Pass there, nearly intercepted by Fry. Let's go downstairs to Laura Oakley.
Tom, you guys have been talking all game, obviously, about the lack of action Josh Gordon has seen. He saw a little too much last night. On the way to the team meeting, he was a passenger in his SUV, got into a minor car accident. Car in front of him swerved trying to avoid the icy conditions, and his car hit that car. He was brought to the team meeting, evaluated. Doctors cleared him for this game, but he was involved in a minor accident last night.
Oh, well, thank you for that update. 3rd down and 10. Campbell in trouble. Throws it high, and it's batted down by Tim Jennings. And the Browns will punt with 4:23 left.
Well, he's had some opportunities here. These deep in routes. This is where Josh Gordon makes his money, whether it's not on the money or they've not come back to him. He's made a couple plays, but he's had not as many opportunities as he would like, and there seems to be a level of frustration between he and Josh Campbell as to whether the ball, where it's going to be thrown or where it's intended.
4:23 left. Punted away by Lanning. And letting it bounce is Devin Hester, and will continue to roll down to the 22-yard line. 4:12 remaining. Chicago 1 timeout. More importantly at this juncture, Cleveland with 2 timeouts. The decision made by Mark Trestman. The 2 biggest decisions made in the NFL this week. We know about RG3 and Mike Shanahan and that story in Washington, D.C. That's a team not going anywhere. I thought this one was a much more important decision because of where the Bears are in relation to the postseason.
Well, keep in mind that none of the quarterbacks on the field today for either team could be back next year. We've got a whole bunch of free agents. Well talked about. Jay Cutler, Josh McCown. Do you go with Josh McCown when he comes back? Not going to cost you as much. Jay Cutler, if he comes back, he's going to have to be in those mega contract level, that $100 million level if he's going to come back to the Bears.
Forte breaks it into the open field and is spun down at the 35-yard line on 1st down.
So that's the decision, and that's going to factor. That has factored in a little bit for the Chicago Bears. You know that Phil Emery and Mark Trestman have had those conversations about what they want to do with Jay Cutler. I think it's an indicator that indeed they stayed with him, have no questions about staying with him, that they intend to bring him back. They don't want to use the franchise tag. Doesn't mean they won't, but that's an expensive ticket, $16, $17 million, and they've got some things to address, particularly on the defensive side.
Bears with a 7-point lead in the football. Just under 3:30 to play in Cleveland on 1st down. It's Forte. And he is dragged down behind the line of scrimmage. Play made by Gibson. Forte over 100 yards rushing for the 3rd consecutive game. 19th time he's carried for 100 yards or more in a game. And now a timeout spent by the Browns. Cleveland has 1 timeout remaining. The return of Jay Cutler. He turned it over on the first drive, an interception in the end zone, and led to a Cleveland field goal. Later in the opening quarter, threw an interception that was returned for a touchdown. We've had 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns, a fumble returned for a touchdown, and Cutler on the day, 21 of 30, 3 TDs, 2 interceptions. They were down by 7, and Cutler took them on back-to-back touchdown drives.
Yeah, and that's been the difference in the game. Neither offense has really generated much. It's been off the defensive turnovers, other than the 2 drives that you're alluding to with Jay Cutler at the end of the half, and then obviously with the big throw to Alshon Jeffrey to set up the score.
Bears trying to go to 2 games above the 500 mark. Put it in the hands of Earl Bennett. And he slowed down, picking up a couple of yards. We talked about Cutler on the very first drive. Took him down the field. The tip ball was intercepted in the end zone. Then later, it would be Gibson who returned an interception for a touchdown. But that drive, the final minute of the opening half to tie the game. And the Hail Mary ball that was caught by Jeffrey to tie it. Then the touchdown throw you saw there to Earl Bennett to take the lead. The Browns had just spent their final timeout. Stopping the clock with 3 minutes and 13 seconds.
Well, Jay Cutler on a 3rd down. This is again where you go, it's great coaching. It's, look, we need to get a 3rd down. You need to fire in there, be aggressive, go get it. Oh, by the way, don't turn the ball over. At which point the quarterback goes, well, thanks, coach, I appreciate that. Never occurred to me you didn't want to throw an interception. But if they can get a first down here, go into a solid 4-minute mode and draw down the rest of the clock and get the win.
They're going to run the football on 3rd down. Caught the Browns by surprise and look at Forte. All the way down to the Cleveland 40-yard line.
That's the exact same play they ran down in the red zone. We saw, you can see Alshon Jeffrey going into motion. They're faking this little jet sweep coming from the outside, and then the quick pitch on the outside to Forte. Jamad Bushrod down the field, Slauson down the field, looking for someone to block. Nice play on a 3rd and 10. Nice safe play so you don't have to throw the ball down the field.
24-yard gain. So now the Bears can run a play. Remember, Cleveland cannot stop the clock. Bears will run a play. The 2-minute warning will stop it after a first down. And this is Michael Bush. And Bush is into the end zone. And that is a touchdown for the Bears, which will keep their playoff hopes alive. A 2-touchdown lead with a little more than 2 minutes to go.
Well, the Cleveland Browns knew it was going to be a run. They brought everybody down in, but they didn't keep the gap integrity we talked about. Nice cutback by Michael Bush to go the distance for the touchdown and seal this for the Bears.
Bears getting touchdowns on 3 consecutive drives after they had fallen behind by 7. Point after is good by Robbie Gould. They get the Jeffrey touchdown, the Bennett touchdown, and now Bush. 38-24, Chicago with 2:17 remaining. You never ever say a team is finished. Look no further than the Browns last week. They had a 2-touchdown lead with a minute left in the game and lost.
But with all due respect, that was Tom Brady pulling the trigger for that New England offense, and this Cleveland offense is yet to show any of that kind of consistency. But we may see a bit of Josh Gordon now as they try to get the ball down the field to finish the game.
Bush got the touchdown, but Matt Forte, we've talked a lot about him today. 1,622 yards from scrimmage now this season after 127 rushing yards. 1 reception as well here today, and that is a new career high for Matt Forte in this 6th season. Well, not many thought the Browns had much of a chance to reach the playoffs going into play today with 4 wins. They are officially eliminated from the playoffs. And don't look now, Brian. Talked about starting with New England. Everybody's talking about number 1 seed, number 1 seed, number 1 seed. Cincinnati wins tonight. They are the number 2 seed. In fact, right now, Cincinnati is a 2 seed by virtue of a win over New England. And meanwhile, Miami has quietly won 5 of its last 7 games as Bess makes a catch up to the 30-yard line.
Well, and even more importantly, with Denver losing to San Diego, people think, well, maybe New England can find its way into that 1st seed. Well, now they're going to have to scramble to hold on to 2. Well, you wondered about how do they feel about Jay Cutler coming back, and there's Brandon Marshall going, yeah, I got my man back. I'm feeling real good about it. They got a little bit of smile by Jay Cutler. You don't see a lot of that. Obviously, how this locker room holds together through the change at the quarterback position is pivotal. Brandon Marshall's been his #1 advocate all along. Got a great relationship. This is a big win for the Bears.
.24, 2-minute warning. Cleveland out of timeouts. Well, rather than the passing game, it's really been an unbelievably productive run game in the fourth quarter that has been the story in the Bears, coming with 21 unanswered points. They have rushed for over 100 yards in this fourth quarter alone. Now you're going to call everybody's name. Just a prevent defense for the Bears, not allow the big play if they want to complete an 8-yard pass, as they do right there to Cameron, and so be it.
They're going to give them all this they want to take, as long as it buys down the clock. But you're right about the running game for the Chicago Bears, and that's what Mark Trestman, he's totally committed to the balance. Yeah, they're going to run the West Coast quasi-offense so they can get the ball down the field. They got the monsters in the midway on the outside, but he wants to have that kind of balance.
Hold on a minute. It is a touchdown to Josh Gordon. First time they've been able to come up with the big connection between Jason Campbell and Josh Gordon.
Just up on the outside. This is as simple as a screwdriver, straight down the field. They just went inside to Cameron, safety over the top, blinks a little bit. Conti can't get there. Touchdown to Josh Gordon.
43 yards. That's a 5th consecutive game with a touchdown for Gordon. That's the first time a Brown has done that since a fella in 1976 named Paul Warfield. Not a bad name in Ohio football history. Well, we saw the Patriots pull it off last week with the onside kick, scoring 2 touchdowns in the last 61 seconds. Will today be the Browns' turn?
And to be critical of the Bears defense, I mean, if they were going to get back into this situation, it was going to be a big play down the field to Josh Gordon. Like we said, you can take all the Jordan Cameron you want in the middle to ease your way down and buy down the clock. Just don't let him have the big hit down the field to the outside. Got to believe that Chris Conti got pulled out of position a little bit. Corner thought he had help over the top that wasn't there when he called on him.
Game being produced today by Bob Stenner, directed by Greg Scopatoni. Our technical producer is Bob Muller. Replay producer Mark Titleman. Associate director Yvonne Wagner. Our broadcast associate Jordan Wolf. I'd like to thank our spotter, Scott Studley Snyder, the pride of Upper Arlington, Ohio, and our stats crew headed up by Tom Barbary in the booth, Taylor Jones as well, Eric Norton and Mike Geldridge down in the truck, and our entire Fox crew. Thanks to all, especially those exposed to the elements on this freezing Sunday afternoon in Cleveland. So now a big chance for the onside kick. Look at this. Fake it with one guy, go to another guy. And able to pick it up is Brandon Marshall, and that's about the surest pair of hands in the bunch. A penalty flag is down.
Illegal formation on the kicking team. They did not have 4 men on each side of the ball when the ball was kicked. The 5-yard penalty will add to the end of the play. First down.
Yeah, and here's what you've got to have when you have it. You've got to have at least 4 men on either side of the ball. My number counter isn't going to give it to you, but because of the way they bunched up in here, it left them there illegal because of the number count. You remember the new rules. They don't want you to be able to overload one side. It leads to injuries. There's got to be a balance to it. He's trying to explain right here how he had it, but it's not going to happen because of the way they were bunched together.
You know, Brian, I'd almost have to look at that again about where the 4 guys are.
Well, I mean, it wasn't as clear cut in that. Maybe you can go back and a step here or a step there. I don't know that the penalty made a big difference here.
You're right. Chicago did recover the onside kick, so even without the penalty, the Bears would have the football, and the final 40 seconds will tick off. So now Chicago regroups and thinks about a big one next weekend in Philadelphia, where the Eagles were stung in a huge loss for them today at Minnesota.
And Puts all that much more pressure on Detroit tomorrow night against the Baltimore Ravens to stay atop that NFC North.
And now on the Dallas Cowboys.
Absolutely.
Coming up here in a minute on Fox, taking on another big one for the Green Bay Packers. Those two getting together next on Fox. That'll be the back end of our doubleheader. Well, coming up, the Pepsi game break. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy, the scores and highlights. Fox Sports Ticker. That is coming up right now.